Very good afternoon. Today we are coming towards the end of Module 1 of Innovation Management. So, the topic of discussion for us today is going to be about something called strategic innovation. You see, this title here is very interesting: Assassinator of Companies and Markets. This is because if one innovates strategically, you can definitely assassinate your competition, assassinate competing companies, you can assassinate markets altogether, revolutionize industries. Sky is the limit. Hence, the need for such a dramatic term here in this context. Fine. So, why do I keep talking about the definition of innovation again and again and again? Is because innovation is so dynamic. Each time you look at it, you can reinvent it and you can make sure it evolves. Innovation actually comes from the Latin word, two Latin words rather, called in and novare, meaning to make new. So you see, this is the genesis of the word innovation from Merriam-Webster's dictionary, which is one of the best in the world. Why am I trying to define, or rather re-quote innovation here in this context again? Is simply for you to understand. Strategic innovation looks at taking this simple definition and applying it in a meticulous, disciplined and planned manner. So we're taking innovation at its grassroots level and pushing it up a notch by talking about strategic innovation. So please understand the difference between the two. When you look at innovation, of course, application of better solutions which meets new requirements, inarticulated needs which someone think they have but they don't know it exists until a company comes to market with a product or a solution. And innovation is the application of solutions to meet existing market needs. So what I want you to understand is innovation is something which is very original. But innovation tries to break into markets or society, it tries to create something revolutionary. So as I said, most of this definition is what has already been spoken to you over this last whole module. But I just am trying to focus on specific keywords here which are adding more value to your understanding of the word innovation. Fine. So what is innovation? Creativity, something really unique, plus delivery, executing it, bringing it to a marketplace in order to ensure that it's a commercial success. You see this, in what department in your company does innovation actually take place? It's a very valid question to ponder upon. If let's just take a quick look at the next slide and it will start making more sense to you. You see, there are three types of innovation here. One talks about operational or process innovation. So what is its focus? Making the process better. How do you measure operational innovation? Throughput. What defects are there? What is the quality? How many times the production line came down? What is your return on investment? What department takes care of operational innovations and process? Finance, quality, manufacturing, HR, training. What is the aim of operational innovation? Fulfill the needs of the customer in a cheaper manner so that you end up making more money. What is the boundary of this? Of course, it's the company. Look at tactical or product based strategic innovation, which says improve the market position of a product by introducing a new business model, new products or services. How do you measure this? Market share, customer satisfaction, customer delight, again, of course, return on investment. What departments are involved here? Marketing, sales, new product development, technology. What is the aim of tactical innovation? Understanding what emerging needs of customers are there and try and fulfill them. And what is the boundary of tactical innovation? Of course, the market. But look at strategic innovation. It says disruption and destruction of existing markets to create fertile soil for new markets. So it means taking things which are pre-existing, revolutionizing them, sometimes maybe even destroying them to lay the ground for new markets altogether. How do you measure that? It could be the share price, it could be funding which is given to you, could be strategic alliances, could be capital inflow, could be bankruptcies, mergers and acquisitions. This is how you measure strategic innovation. So there's a question mark here. Which department is involved in strategic innovation? Combine process, product, and everything in between. These departments are involved in strategic innovation. In short, every single department. What is the aim of strategic innovation? Create a need for users that they did not even know they had that need. That's so unique. Is there a boundary for strategic innovation? I don't think so. Strategic innovation is going to extend as wide and far as the entire globe is. There is no demarcation, there is no boundary, there is no limit to the heights to which strategic innovation can actually scale. That's the dynamism and that's the extent of strategic innovation for you, ladies and gentlemen. Strategic innovation disrupts and destroys, creates new markets, new needs, eliminates old markets, eliminates old products, and creates something truly revolutionary. You see this, there were two companies before, of which one company exists even today and another company is dead. These were two video lending companies in the United States, one called Blockbuster. You've never heard about them. That's because they were into the rental of your VHS, good old tapes. Didn't go digital, didn't innovate, and they died. But what about Netflix? Well, there isn't a single one of us, present company included, that aren't aware of Netflix. Netflix is one such company that has continuously been innovating. You know, I myself am a big fan of Netflix, and I can tell you, Netflix hosts television shows by other producers. Netflix has its own production house where it makes movies and television shows of its own. Netflix has marketing alliances with other companies. Netflix is one such company which continuously keeps innovating and disrupting, and hence it has a market capitalization of almost $2.2 billion. So in the land of Netflix and Blockbuster, Netflix was the destroyer and the disruptor of creation of media. Another good example here. You see, there was this company who had this series of stores called Radio Shack. They spent $5,225 in 2013 to take out the ad for 13 products here. But today, your $200 or $400 or $800 iPhone or your Android, all these products fit into your pocket in that phone. I don't need a separate radio, I don't need a CD player, I don't need a mobile telephone, I don't need a sound system, I don't need a recorder, because everything is in that handy device. So this Apple was a destroyer and disruptor because it took all those 13 products and jammed them into that $200 iPhone in front of your eyes. Classic examples of strategic innovation. So here's a very interesting model for us to ponder upon called the Starfish business model, which looks at 5 different prongs. One is you have your suppliers, users, advertisers, customers, other starfish. So a starfish is representative of a company. A company has all these internal and external stakeholders that work with it, which help it disrupt innovation. Other starfish are going to be your companies in the competitive set. So this starfish is going to use these resources to try and battle with the other starfish in the market. So this is called the starfish business model. Interesting pictograph here because it says mobile app revenues are going up by in billions of dollars. So it's an old figure, I don't deny. But you see, it rose from $8 billion in 2011 to almost $76 billion. Today, we are in 2020. The first quarter is done already. And it's safe to say we are at about $150 plus billion in mobile app revenue. This is because mobile apps today are able to give you every type of service that you seek. So they are trying to destroy and disrupt. Who are using strategic innovation? So McKinsey and Co., a very famous consulting company, says if you don't explore new business models, you will go the route of the dinosaurs, you will become extinct. So good examples of companies that went extinct for you. Kodak, with its point and shoot film reel camera, didn't bother innovating when digital cameras came. It died. You look closer to India. Our good old Hindustan Motors ambassador did not do any sort of innovation. They were not strategic with it, and the ambassador is dead. So all the large players, you see the ones circled out here. You have your Google, your Amazon, your Apple, your Facebook, Coursera in e-learning, SpaceX in space exploration, Samsung in mobile telephony, Intel in microprocessors, Audi in automobiles. All of these are strategic innovators because they innovate to disrupt and destroy old markets and try and create new markets. There is a battle for world domination because the starfish now talks about cannibalization, assassination, competition, creation, and collaboration. These, my dear friends, are the 5 pillars on which strategic innovation comfortably rests. A strategic innovator is going to sometimes cannibalize his or her own product, is going to assassinate the competition, is going to create something revolutionary, and don't get me wrong, would also collaborate with other players, other partners in the same market space in order to reach towards world domination in their respective industry. See this please. This error in the picture is because Microsoft never did this. They are innovators, no doubt. But Apple is synonymous with this image. If you've seen it in all of Steve Jobs' press conferences, all of Tim Cook's press conferences. So it just puts things in perspective as to how Apple has always been a destroyer and a disruptor. I'm going to use these words again and again. Google has revolutionized search. Today, it's become a verb almost. People don't say go online and search for something. They say, I want to buy a new car, please Google it for me. So Google's become a verb. That's the proof in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen, is when a product or a service has become a verb, it means to say that it's disrupted and destroyed traditional mindsets. Ad blockers. Apple, in its own way, has become the master of the ad blocker with its own types of innovative services and applications. You see, Amazon Prime, yes, I'm a fan of it as well. Globally, in the span of maybe say a decade, it's grown by millions because Amazon Prime was one such disruptive and innovative service. It took the nomenclature Amazon Prime, added music sharing, added video and media, added groceries, added purchase of products, added purchase of books, added its e-book reader, the Kindle, all of these things under one banner, which was disruptive in its own way. Even start to talk about how disruptive Facebook is, but ever wondered which this logo is here below? I'm sure many of you wouldn't have seen it. This is for a social media based platform called Mashable. Mashable is amazing in its own way. I have used it, but I can tell you it never really took off as much as Facebook did, because while Mashable was unique in its own way, It was never disruptive, and it didn't destroy markets and create new ones like Facebook actually did. You know, Facebook owns WhatsApp, Facebook owns Instagram, Facebook owns a plethora of companies which helps it truly disrupt. An example for how innovative Facebook is, it says peak breakup times, when people actually break up: Valentine's Day, April Fool's Day, Mondays, Christmas, couple of weeks before Christmas. What are the reasons for people to break up? How do they deliver the news? So Facebook has been the champion of social media analytics, helping you measure the value addition that social media has to a business or an individual. It's truly disruptive. Slowly, all other social media titans are now adopting this concept of social media analytics. Very revolutionary. There is no sales funnel anymore, simply because major titans now own respective product verticals. They have been so disruptively innovative that they have owned them. LinkedIn, B2B leads, LinkedIn dominates it. 1 billion people across the world use Facebook search every day. There's a bit of a corrigendum in the third statement, I apologize. That is, Amazon Prime has truly made an explosion in its own way. Apple, Google, another disruptive innovation. People don't use the desktop anymore. Everything happens on mobile. There is no home page anymore. It's all app based. Nobody finds your products in a home page anymore. They all find it on apps. So the funnel, sales funnel, is as good as dead. Unicorns, the Facebooks, the Googles, the LinkedIns of the world are called unicorns because they have market capitalizations that run into hundreds of billions of dollars, and these guys inherently have been very disruptive and strategic in their innovation. You see this, please? Starfish models. Uber, largest car rental company, doesn't own cars. Facebook, most popular media owner, creates no content. Alibaba, valuable retailer in the world, no inventory. Airbnb, largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. So you see how these people have been disruptive and strategic in their innovation. Why is strategic innovation important is because no industry is going to be safe. You see this 4-angle quadrant here, please, which looks at Deloitte and how they're exploring digital disruptions in Australia. It says short fuse big bang, long fuse big bang, long fuse small bang, short fuse small bang. So there are some industries which are short fuse but big bang, and these are the ones which are truly going to be innovative. Real estate, arts, retail, information and communication technology, finance, professional services have a short fuse but deliver a big bang. Education, transport, health, long fuse and a big bang. Manufacturing, mining, long fuse but a small bang. Accommodation and food, wholesale is a short fuse and a small bang. So 32% and 33%, the first two quadrants are going to tell you no industry is safe. All of these are prone to disrupt. I'll just come to that in a bit. But it says you have to compete in a market which is very well defined. Economics is a science of choice and scarcity. You know, what happens is in strategic innovation, you do not accept rules of the market. You create your own connections, create new markets, create new users. Make the experience very experiential. Don't make it very professional. Customers are one arm, users are another arm. And never ever accept rules of the market. So these are the paradigms on which strategic innovation rests. So you see, Netflix is the example I gave you. If you can be disrupted, you will be disrupted unless you disrupt yourself. Interesting statement here. Can you cannibalize your own revenue stream? Yes, of course you can. You see, Sony was the master of the Discman. But then after a short time, Sony came out with the MP3 player. Cannibalized its own revenue for the Discman, but it is needed. Unless you cannibalize your own revenue stream, you'll not be able to innovate disruptively. Please remember this very, very strong. Many companies follow this thing called the hedgehog principle. Most companies are built around doing one thing really well, really effectively. We don't want to change. But in strategic innovation, you've got to rethink your market. Don't look at customer loyalty anymore. Look at customer empowerment. Don't look at efficiency, look at intelligence. Don't look at low cost, look at no cost. Don't look at ownership, look at giving access. You see, these words are how the markets are evolving. Market and company innovate like Google, because Google is no more today just a search engine. It has 15 industries in it. Google is making the self-driving car. Google is into smart devices. You would have seen the Google Home. Google is into retail, Google is into energy, it's into fiber optics, it's into transportation, home appliances, ISP, media, robotics. Probably some are missing, but you see how Google has truly been so disruptive in their process. This is a company which is into home automation in the United States called Nest. Started with the thermostat for the home, moved on to wireless speakers, moved on to CCTV cameras, moved on to universal remotes, moved on to smart locks for homes. So it took the bare foundation of being a company which is into temperature control, disrupted its own market, cannibalized its own product, but is wildly successful. Google's innovation, the way it did, is it differentiated between customers and users. It focused on providing maximum value for the user. 20% of the time is allocated to passion projects like the Google X space project. Organization level does not dictate pay. If you innovate, you are eligible for the benefits. Focus on the user, learn from the user, learn about the user, make the user generate data, knowledge and insights, experiment, and this is why Google remains one of the most successful companies to date. Organizations don't innovate. The engaged people innovate. So we can look at this small diagram here. It says that people give passion, creativity and initiative only when management is supportive, has the right kind of motivation, employees are satisfied, lights that fire in their employees. So this is going to truly make organizations really innovative. This is what Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, 3M, as I've told you, religiously follows this model of innovation. I do agree today's lecture has been a rather long one, but with this we conclude module 1 of innovation management. A hearty thanks from my end for your patience to listen to me for a good part of half an hour. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.